The Guru, Squad 00, the assassin like no other. Yes, I'm the best at what I do. One of the most notorious YouTube anime in my community. Don't doubt my infamy, please. I'm back. Yes, indeed, back, coming with that hard-hitting material. Another death match, ladies and gentlemen. We in here. Now, in this 26th death match, we have a very interesting death match. A death match which I wouldn't normally put together. But a death match which is important to get people to understand the reality, the truth of the matter. Because of some of the ridiculous claims that people can make. Coming in from the left side, we have one of the most devastating characters in all of fiction. One of the greatest fighters in the technical aspect. He was indeed perfect in what he did. This fighter, this combatant, his intelligence was on point. This fighter, this combatant is truly an outstanding example of what the martial arts can be. And he is bioengineered on a whole different level than what you normally see. He is none other than Perfect Cell. And coming in from the right side, one who really needs no introduction. One of the most devastating antagonists of all time in any world in relation to its inhabitants. This threat, because that's what it is, didn't even showcase the full extent of his capabilities, and he was still truly monstrous. He is none other than the Chimera Ant King himself, Meryem. Let us begin. Yo, like I said, this is not one that I normally do, because the conclusion is obvious to me, and anyone who's observant and who knows, who actually has knowledge of both these series, and who uses logic and reason. The facts and evidence speak for themselves, but you know, some people want to ignore some things. But as always, we bring this into the fair fold of the matter, and we bring the analysis in hard and heavy. First, as always, well, let me break it down. In case you have not witnessed one of my death matches, we have 3 categories. And under each category, there are a few different subcategories. Now, the first category, as always, is the attack category. And under the attack category, we have 4 subcategories. Physical strength, combat speed, which, as I always say, is different from transit or travel speed. Techniques, as well as destructive capacity / power. Now, when it comes to raw physical strength, this is a very interesting one. And one that I'm not certain can be fully addressed. From the facts and evidence we can give, the actual physical, who's actually more physically inclined, is actually Meryem, from what we've seen. Now, we know that with Saiyans and the Super Saiyan transformation, there's a 50 times multiplier to the physical strength. And I'm not saying that Goku, Son Goku, Gohan, and the rest will be by enemies. That's not what I'm saying. Physically, they are monsters. That's the reality situation. But the thing is, at that specific point in the series, they weren't on some demigod level status. Understand this. Meryem the King casually was wiping dudes out from a physical standpoint. In fact, it was so casual that he really didn't even showcase any bit of his power. It just so happens that the humans he went up against, who were enhanced by Nin. Now, here's the thing. Killer Zodic, pre-Nin, was lifting several tons. Understand that. Now, with that being said, you have Chairman Isaac Notaro, who he went against, who we know is significantly more powerful than Killer Zodic back in the Zodic family mini arc. Okay, the Zord family arc. You also consider the fact that Meryem was hurting quite well their royal guard members, specifically Neferpito, who was in herself quite strong, you can say. It's a very difficult one, but if I had, from the evidence we have, because Cell was not too much of a purely physical fighter. As I mentioned, he preferred the technique. He was more into the speed game and agility, movement, footwork, kind of, if it was a boxing reference, an outboxer kind of thing. Not saying he was weak by any means, but I'd have to go to raw physical strength to Meryem. 1 point for Meryem. Now, when it comes to speed, this is obvious. Hands down, this should not even be a question without much. I don't need to break it down much. It goes to Cell. At that specific point in time, now, Dragon Ball characters, you gotta understand this. Back in the early Dragon Ball, you had Goku, Son Goku, Kakarot, moving, by the time he was in the Piccolo Jr. Saga / in the 23rd World Tournament, he was faster than lightning because Mr. Popo was the speed of lightning. Doggone move that up. By the time Raditz shows up, they're reacting to blast that destroyed pretty much a moon in a couple seconds, more or less. Okay? Then you gotta keep in mind that you keep going. His fight with Frieza, which took 5 minutes, and it was ridiculously how much they did within 5 minutes. They're moving at fractions of a second. Okay? Now, Super Saiyan transformation, as well as for, the longer line, all the training, the absorption of the androids as well, and a whole other factor. This dude is moving, probably, I wouldn't be surprised if he could move at least half the speed of light, at least. It's hard to say. Meryem the King, clearly no speed feats along that factor. The fact is, even though all of it happened within, I think, a minute, when he took 1,000 blows from Netero, the fact is, he kept taking hits. He would dive in there, and he kept taking hits. A minute versus a fraction of seconds, not even comparable. So it's clear that the speed category goes to Cell. Now, when it comes to technique, again, this one was obvious. Meryem showed us pretty much no techniques. None. His nin ability was to absorb the nin of others and get more powerful. That was his nin ability. He swung his tail. He used a lot of hand-to-hand combat, kind of. He used strategy, but he didn't really have any techniques, so to say. Cell had the solar flare. He had access to Kamehameha. He had access to Son Goku's techniques, Vegeta's techniques, I think Tien's techniques, I think Piccolo's techniques, and I think Frieza's techniques. Plus, he absorbed Android 17 and 18, so that again affected his fighting style. So with that being said, the obvious winner of that category goes to Cell. Perfect Cell. And finally, the last category within the attack, the last subcategory within the attack category is destructive capacity, which is clearly Cell. Cell says he could have destroyed the solar system, which actually makes a lot of sense because by that point in the series, he should have been able to destroy a star, which is the sun, which would inherently have destroyed the solar system. People don't understand. Destroying the solar system, it isn't this enclosed thing that you can just destroy. It's destroying all the planets. All the planets in the star, that's the solar system. You destroy all of the planets in the star, yes, Cell could have done that. They were destroying planets back in the Saiyan Saga. They destroyed the moon back. Shoot, Master Roshi at 150 power level was able to destroy the moon. Piccolo casually destroyed the moon at 300 something power level. And shoot, what? Vegeta was at 18,000 and he was the threat to destroy the planet. Goku pretty much the same way. Then you had Frieza casually destroying a planet. Or planets, if you want to include Planet Vegeta. Okay? And then you had Sans destroying planets. I mean, come on, man. You telling me he couldn't have destroyed a star? Perfect Cell with all that power that he had? Come on now. Let's use some logic. Please use logic, reason, facts, and everything. And considering how powerful the Cell Juniors were, they were able to combat a Super Saiyan. Just keeping it real. I mean, powerful as he is, Meryem. It's the truth. And people won't try to throw in post. We have no feats for post road. So, and the fact is he died anyway, so it doesn't matter. He didn't fight or anything. So, do not bring that nonsense in here. The fact is, he's very powerful, but we didn't see anywhere close, nowhere even close to being able to destroy a planet, let alone a star. So, the obvious winner there is Cell. So Cell wins out in the attack category 3-1. Now, in the defense category, we once again have 4 subcategories. We have reaction time, durability, stamina, and agility. In terms of reaction time, the obvious answer is Cell for more than one reason. Number one, one does not get hit 1,000 times. 1,000 times. And we want to talk about reaction time. Cell was reacting to movements of a fraction of a second. And schooling some cats in those aspects, at least for a while. You feel me? It wasn't until Super Saiyan pretty much 2.5, they say Super Saiyan 2, Gohan ascended that. But even Gohan then, Cell was still able to dodge some attacks. So keep that in mind. It's the reality of the situation. He did get caught off guard a couple times, but the truth is, he's way, more reactive, if that's the word you want to use, than Meryem. So the point goes to Cell. Durability is an interesting one. Because Cell very durable. But the thing is, people want to bring up regeneration. I will bring that up. But that deals with more in the stamina aspect of it, not durability. When it comes to durability, this is a very hard and interesting one. Because we know that Kamehameha, instant transmission Kamehameha and whatnot, blew him up. But at the same time, that was the level of blowing up a planet. So it's kind of, and possibly then some, if Son Goku would have missed. When it comes to Meryem could not survive a nuclear warhead, a nuclear level attack. I don't know if it was an atomic bomb, but it was at least a mini nuke, let's just put it that way. Enough to level a city. Cell can survive a leveled city, at least. So, with that being said, the durability has to go to Cell. That's the best we can do. How much can Cell, how durable Cell is hard to say, but he's surviving at least a city level attack. That's the reality of the situation. Perfect sense. So the durability category goes to Cell. In terms of stamina, this is obvious. Cell can regenerate. There was regenerative, and there were quite hacks regenerative capabilities. Clearly defeats Meryem, who died even after his essence given to a bit of them given from Yuppie and Shallow Proof. We're not gonna talk about that gay scene, that homosexual scene. We ain't gonna do that. But anyways, in the anime. Anyways, the thing is, he died from poison. Doggone entire cells had to be eradicated. If that's not a winning in the stamina game, then I don't know what it is. And he came back more powerful, if I'm not mistaken, because of a Zenkai boost or some jazz like that. So that just goes to show you, oh yeah, stamina easily goes to Cell. Now, when it comes to agility, I think I have to go to Cell. Because Meryem didn't really showcase any agility feats. He didn't. That's the reality of the situation. He didn't showcase any agility feats for the most part. Well, if he did, they were only a little bit. Nothing real significant. Cell, while not showcasing too many agility feats, he going up head to head against Goku, someone who relies on speed and agility and such. I mean, he was going on par with him. So, you know, with that fact alone, I gotta give it to Cell. So Cell clean sweeps through the defensive category. Now to the last category, which is a very important category most don't want to pay any attention to: strategy. And in strategy, it is 3 subcategories this time, and those subcategories are location, fighting styles, and fighting IQ. When it comes to location, I'm not sure that too much mattered, because there is no evidence that either couldn't fight. I mean, shoot, we don't know if Cell could survive in space or fight in space, so that's out of the equation. I'm not certain if either are surviving. You know, if either needs oxygen underground, underwater, anything of that nature. So I can't say. So location is not too admissible, and both can fight in various environments, whether close range or, you know, like close quarters, urban, forest jungle area, or if it's an open plains in the desert, or something along those lines. So I don't think location will be a factor in this specific battle. It covers the fighting styles. I mentioned about Cell being pretty much the perfect tactician when it comes to fighting. His fighting style is a mastery, and a seeming complete mastery. You know, and in regards to technique, he's the best fighter in the Dragon Ball series, and probably in the entire Dragon Ball universe, as well as possibly at this point the multiverse. Now, you could say Wiz and the, you know, Beerus / Bills, whatever. But as far as in technical fighting, from what we've been showcased, I have to go with Cell. And it makes a lot of sense, because taking into consideration all of what she absorbed, all of which he was comprised of, okay, his essence. You had the fighting genius that is Son Goku. You had a highly intelligent fighter in Vegeta. Another highly intelligent fighter, and I think Piccolo, and as well as Tien, if I'm not mistaken, was up in there. And of course, the natural born genius, the talented one that is Frieza. And then take into consideration a solid, at least to say a solid fighter in Android 17, and in 18 a monster in our own way. So you had all this high fighting IQ and all these different various styles. You know, Goku, every style he came across, he mastered. All this within him. Then polished. You have a natural born fighting machine, pretty much, at that point, by what Perfect Cell, if you want to say he was born. You have a natural fighting machine. Technically flawless. That's why he had, the whole thing was perfect. He was technically flawless. There were no seeming flaws in his actual fighting style. Now, him as an individual, that's different. But his actual fighting style, he was technically perfect. Now, was his entire fighting style perfect? That's an entirely different discussion altogether. But as it, you know, regardless at this specific matter. When it comes to Meryem didn't have a fighting style. That's the reality. He did not have a fighting style. Now, it's not to say that he couldn't kill. First of all, he wasn't trained. He was, what, like 10 days old at that specific time? So it's amazing that he was able to fight at all. And, see, here's the funny part is, he relied so much on his physical prowess, his natural abilities, that he didn't need to develop a fighting style. That's part of it. Fighting styles, the martial arts, a lot of times, or most times I should say, come because of necessity. Invention is the mother, necessity is the mother of invention, is the old saying. And the older I get, the more I understand this, and the more it's applicable. And specifically in this case, it's where Cell, even though he was powerful, he wanted to test himself or whatever, he was built to be the ultimate fighting machine. He was designed, that's his, pretty much his entire purpose. when it came to Meryem, Meryem was born, he was given all this power, he absorbed more power, and he became more powerful and more powerful, increasingly more powerful, right? Seemingly exponentially and astronomically, seemingly, right? The thing is, being simply a powerful being, he had no need to fight because he was this seemingly almighty being. The difference is, if you would compare him to, let's say, and I'm bringing in another factor so that hopefully the people can understand. If you know Cars, Ultimate Form Cars, the ultimate being from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 2, Cars was already a fighter. You know, he, whatever, with the Pillar Man, and he has ascended. See, he had already had that background, it's the difference. And the same thing can be said of Cell, already having a background where Meryem had zero background and zero need to fight because he was seemingly the most powerful, the supreme being or whatever. So that's part of the difference. No fighting style versus the perfect fight, technical fighter. Yeah, how's that gonna? Just that fact alone, it is a key sign to where this match. Without all the other factors, just the perfect technician versus no technique at all. Yeah, just let that sit and marinate. Just contemplate that one for a second. Just contemplate. Master of technique versus no technique. Come on now, y'all. Finally, to the fighting IQ subcategory. You had someone who was fairly a very high fighting IQ. I will not put him as a fighting genius, because although he had the cells, you know, he wasn't his own right, but he was a very high. The fact is, you can't be a master of technical fighting without having a very high fighting IQ. That's the reality of the situation, because you have to know how each thing works in a seeming perfect manner, okay? And understand this, it's not like he had long time to prepare, okay? No. He gave them 3 days. 3 days. In that time, much of which he was doggone making an arena and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? He was just chilling. He was that good already. But he understood how to fight. And he was reading and reacting to his opponent's fighting styles who he did not really know. I think especially Son Goku and Gohan had yet to fight him, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? He was able, I mean, even in his imperfect state, even though Piccolo was putting that work in him, was going to body bag him, was going to kill him, he still was able to somewhat fight a very powerful, ridiculously powerful, I should say, Piccolo. So, take that, keep that for what it's worth. In terms of fighting IQ, it's hard to say for Meryem, because Meryem is a strategist, but he relied so much, he took too many hits. He relied so much on his natural capacity to complete his mission. I understand he didn't want to kill him, but at the same time, he kept taking hit after hit after hit. Like, dude, your strategy was to just wear him down and to find a way, because you could. Like, if he was against someone who was a heavier hitter or had a more hacks ability than Netero, he's getting body bagged with that kind of strategy. So I gotta say, his fighting IQ, I mean, he understood things, but as far as in fighting, he didn't have that high of a fighting IQ. It was actually quite low. I won't go so much as subpar, at best okay, because he did understand things, but at best okay. He was not, he was powerful, but he was not his fighting application for his knowledge and his intelligence toward fighting was not very developed. Let's keep it cool. Part of that has to do with experience, but in the case of Cell, I guess you can say he relied on the experience of his cells. I don't know, but neither, let me just put it away, Perfect Cell and Meryem didn't have time to really train or anything of that nature. But Perfect Cell, very high. Meryem, at best, okay. And all that being said, I have presented thoroughly why Meryem takes at solid L I mean, this isn't even a challenge, to be honest with you. No disrespect to Meryem the King, but if for nothing alone, just from fighting styles and fighting IQ, forget all the other physical factors. Just those alone make him take that L. Speed, I mean, reaction time, every aspect you want to consider. Anyone who says Meryem would win this fight is beyond a fan. Like, you can't talk. I'm sorry, you can't talk to that person because they just want to deny facts and evidence. That the facts and evidence are just clear as day. I did this video simply because I've heard this, unfortunately, often, and it had to be addressed. Unexpected one to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts on this. If you do think Meryem can somehow miraculously pull this off, please give me a legitimate explanation as to how the hell Meryem does that. Because I'm all open ears to cheer this nonsense. Or beyond actual non-nonsense, I should say. Excuse me. Alright, y'all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Peace.